Welcome to another episode of Keeping Up the Conversation. I am your host, Miss Tori. Almost forgot my name for a second. No, no, wait. Before we go any further, the reason I almost forgot my name is because I always forget to say presented by Blacklight Entertainment. No, Blacklight Magazine. Whichever one, they're still the same. It's one of those days, man. Anyway, that's my co-host, Big Kid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, it's not even one of those days. It's one of those weeks, and it's just, I'm ready to.
It happens.
It does. It happens. And anyway, you are back from Cali.
Yep. California was amazing as usual. Cali is an amazing state full of opportunity and
Mhm.
full of things to do. So
Yes,
I had a
I
very,
love.
very great time.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad. I love Cali. I know my son went to college in California, and man, every opportunity to be up there was simply amazing. And the thing about Cali, what it made me realize, and no, nothing against Austin. I know we try to catch up on a lot of things. We are always kind of behind. And when I would go to Cali, I always saw the drive and the hustle and how people were moving and doing stuff. And it's like they would have meetings. Hey, you want to have a meeting 7 o'clock in the morning? That was their thing. It was 7 o'clock in the morning was just like noon to them. You could every time is a good time for a meeting, but I found out like when I came back to Austin, I'm like, oh, we move so slow.
Yeah, the speed of everything is faster. Life moves a little bit faster out there, but there's so much to get done. There's so much hustle. There's so many entrepreneurs. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's
yeah.
as they say, it's a lot of sharks in the water. So
Oh
you got
yeah,
to be
yeah.
on top of your game, and if you're gonna move to Cali and be out that direction, like you really got to be on top of your stuff.
Mm. What I was gonna ask you was when you were out in Cali, what was like the not COVID situation, but how were people handling it? Were they still having? Did they have on masks? They have uh, mask on the flight? Like how was that?
It was crazy to me because when I left Dallas, things were kind of, they wanted you to have on a mask and everything in the airport, of course, but it was kind of like a little bit lax. And when I got to Cali, it was like total like opposite. It was like everybody got to have on a mask. You got to
Oh
follow
wow!
these regulations. You got to follow this. You got to follow that. But then it was crazy because if you were eating, of course, you don't have to have on a mask. And if you were smoking marijuana, you don't have to have on a mask.
Really?
So
Yeah.
yeah. So if you're
Put it under
smoking,
the mask.
you don't
Wow.
have to have on a mask. So, it was just
Oh,
it was
oh
just
my
weird for
goodness.
me to see that. But when we went to our first stop was Roscoe's. A lot of people, I got
Yeah. Gotta
mixed,
stop there.
yeah, you gotta stop there. But the people at Roscoe's didn't have on masks outside. We had to wait in a little line.
What about the cooks and the servers?
The people on the inside, yeah. When you got on the
Okay.
inside of the restaurant, you had to have on a mask. The people that work in there had on masks, and that was the common thing, throughout, everywhere we went, all the restaurants we went to, everybody who was actually working in the restaurants had on masks. But I was told that the governor is gonna lift that mask mandate pretty soon. So
Oh, all right. Well, welcome back. Glad to have you back in that little seat over there.
yeah.
So, all right, at the top of the hour, we always start the show off with our hot topics. So, Big Ken, tell me what you think about this story with the Houston Methodist Hospital. So a group of Houston Methodist Hospital workers they protested on Monday that the healthcare system is requiring that the staffers be vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, employees had to get the COVID vaccine by June 7th, according to Houston Methodist. More than 100 staffers at Houston Methodist filed a lawsuit on May 28th against the healthcare system over its vaccine policies, saying the vaccines are unapproved and experimental, and the plaintiffs are asking for a temporary injunction against the policy. Now, Houston Methodist became the first major healthcare system in the U.S. to mandate COVID-19 vaccinations on March 31st. So now, a little less than 200 individuals right now are suspended because they have not been vaccinated.
Mm.
I mean, I want to hear what you think, but my one of my big points on this is like when we said we were planning a trip, and I said, okay, well, we're going to go to a different country. Now, the only thing that they're requiring is that we get the COVID test, and my thing is that if my job is going to require me to get vaccinated, don't you have to know my health, or didn't you have to know what about based on my culture, my religion? I don't believe in that kind of stuff. So I just think that that's not fair at all.
Well, my thought process when I first saw this story was, okay, everybody needs to have a choice, but you also have a choice in where you work. And when you work in the medical industry, it's a little bit different than working in your standard everyday, run of the mill job somewhere else. If you're working in the medical industry, you're exposing yourself to others on a daily basis. So
Right.
if those people are already sickly or have had the vaccine and you haven't, and you actually carry the virus to somebody that is already sickly, that's a bit of a risk.
Hmm.
So, I understand, the ability to, make the decision for yourself whether you want the vaccine or not. But if you're going to be in that medical environment, I think, that policy, I don't think it's a far stretch because of the purpose of it.
Yeah, and I get it, and you're absolutely right. You do have a choice where you work, but in the same sentence, it's like, what about it's so new. How do you know how long that that vaccine can ward off COVID? It's just so much of the unknown.
Yeah,
So,
it's all a calculated risk, but I think as far as, um in my line of work that I do, one of the things that we always talk about is mitigate risk, which
mhm,
means try to do things to avoid the risk. You
right.
know what I'm saying? And the risk reward on this is if you take the vaccine, the reactions to it and things of that, like, have been mild for, overwhelming amount of people. Every now and again, every, blue moon, you might have somebody that gets sick from the vaccine, which is, introducing the virus into your body. So it's a calculated risk, but you're also putting the people that are coming to the hospital to get better. You're also putting them at risk if you have somebody who's not vaccinated and who does contract the virus, and by the time they know they have it, they've already spread it.
And I think that that's where I agree with you, because if it's like an an everyday regular job, an office job, McDonald's, da da da, a fast food place, okay. But you're right. I think that if you're working at a healthcare facility where you're coming into contact with different people every single hour, then I understand that. I just think, hopefully in terms of healthcare, it's just the healthcare facility that's mandating it. I don't want it to be where, you know, we go to work or we go to the studio and we have to get vaccinated.
I
Or we
think it's
have to be
going to
vaccinated.
trend that way, though.
I just don't
I
think
really
so.
feel that
It's
it
just
is.
because
It's
I,
slowly but surely is getting there. Is getting to that point where they're gonna start mandating that people get it, because even if you want to travel internationally, you have to have it. Like, you have to
yeah.
have the
I
vaccine.
mean, I guess the test, the just having the COVID test is, you know,
That's
I
not
don't
good
know.
enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's
Because
not it's not
you
good
can have a
enough.
false
So,
positive, you can have a false negative, you could have a test that says it's negative, and 3 days later you start experiencing symptoms, and then you actually have the virus, but the test couldn't detect it. It's all type of gambles with that test. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, like I said, it's a calculated risk for it all, the test and the vaccine. But if you're working in a hospital environment and they come up with that policy, all this stuff is new, and they're trying to do what's best for them to protect the patients that come into the hospital and protect the other workers. So, you
But do
know,
you agree or disagree before I move on? Do you agree or disagree?
I would have to agree. I would have to
Okay.
agree. I
All
would
right.
have to agree.
All right. So, okay, so this next story is, Very interesting. Uh, all right. So in El Paso, a 30-year-old mother who was arrested for posing as her daughter at a Texas middle school says she did it to push for better security. Casey Garcia, who jail records show is 4 feet 11 tall and weighs 105 pounds, was arrested on one count each of criminal trespass and tampering with government records. An El Paso County Sheriff Office official said she was also arrested on on an unrelated traffic warrant. Now, deputies were notified Tuesday by San Elvaria Independent School District campus officials of Garcia trespassing on school grounds and posing as a student. Now, several posts were made on social media documenting her posing as a student. An investigation led to two warrants being issued for Garcia's arrest. Now, in a YouTube video titled Why I Pose as My 13-Year-Old Daughter, a raw but real answer, she said she dyed her hair and used skin tanner to pose as the girl. She said she was the only student in one of her classes at and the teachers were so preoccupied with the other students that were online, that they weren't even paying attention to the students that were there physically. So she praised her daughter's teacher, but said it's a problem at all schools. And she also said, I bet you anything someone else can do this. She said this in a video. This is why she did it. Uh, and she said, whether you agree with me or not, I did this to prove a security point. Uh, I'm gonna say whatever before I go any further. Let me let you go on with this, and
Well, for me, the first things first. You said 4 foot 11 tall. That don't even go together. 4 foot 11 and tall don't belong in the same sentence. But anyway, but anyway, um, the fact that number one, I knew stuff like this was gonna occur when we started wearing the mask, right? Because if you got a mandate that says you have to wear a mask inside a building, there is no way that you're gonna be able to tell who's who under these masks. I'm sorry, you just can't. So with this being her mom, I'm pretty sure they have the same characteristics or something like that. Maybe the same eyes.
right.
So behind the mask, you can't tell if that's her or her daughter, especially if they're the same height.
I don't know. Can you put the picture up again? Let me see that graphic again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
you really can't. Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to tell. So I mean, I get it, and the fact that somebody was able to tell, I'm trying to figure out, or I'm wondering, like, how were they able to tell if she had the mask on? Like, how did they know that that wasn't her?
But I also read where she said that in one of her classes she was the only student, and the other students were were online, and the teachers didn't recognize her. I mean, she didn't. I don't know. I just think that a 4 foot 11. You're right, is short. But I just wondered, how some teachers. I mean, I know you worked in a school before, so don't some teachers just kind of recognize a student's body language?
It just depends. It really depends. Um, there are. I'll say this: there are some great teachers out there. Let me start by saying that, but there are also
Yep,
a
she
lot of
said that
teachers
too.
these days that are just teaching for a paycheck and not because of they're passionate about it. So they're not
Mhm.
as detail oriented, or don't pay attention to students as much as people have in the past. So with that being said, I think it would probably be fairly easy to pull this off because of the mask
Mhm.
in itself. So,
Mhm.
but like I said, the 4'11", and she doesn't, if that's her on the left, she doesn't look like any different from a typical
Yeah, yeah,
high school
yeah,
student. So, and you don't think of, when you see somebody 4 foot 11, that's a grown woman.
yeah.
My apologies to grown women out there that are 4 foot
To 4
11,
foot, yeah, 4 foot 11 grown women.
but
When I was when I was
but
in
yeah,
high school,
yeah.
when I was in high school, they had, uh, this is how just, okay, so anyway, how strong, I guess, or how not so strong the drug culture was back then, but they were working on this undercover, um project where, because they knew that, I guess, students at the high school were selling marijuana, but they didn't know who it was. The students weren't talking, and so they had these two new students come in, and there was two female students, and they really looked like high school students. They really did, and what they were trying to do was find out where the marijuana was coming from. At the end of the day, someone knew that these students. Someone figured it out, because as students, our antennas be on all the time. But the marijuana, at the end of the day, the marijuana was coming from a former student who wasn't there, but he would come onto campus and sell to the students. But he ended up selling to one of the undercover agents. And the whole point I'm making is that there are some adults, with or without a mask, even back then, that look like students.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm sure that's what the teacher thought, but some students were like, she don't even belong at this school. They're doing some tattletale.
I mean, the another great example of that is the show To Catch a Predator. A
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
the young women they use on there are actually grown women who
Yeah.
actually appear to be childlike age, and
Uh-huh.
that's how they get those guys caught up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a very believable story, and I'm sure that, she had a valid reason in her own
Mhm.
mind of trying to, pull this off. But unfortunately for her, it ended up
Yeah.
in some jail time. So,
Yeah, but you have to think about it. Wasn't even worth that. It's like one parent does it, I get it, to test the security of the school. I get it. However, was it really worth that? And to top it all off, you already had a warrant. So, now
yeah,
you're in bigger trouble.
I think the fact that she had a warrant is wild.
She should
That
have paid
she
the warrant
actually
off first.
she should have taken care of that. She should have taken care of that first. But the fact that she
Yeah.
had the warrant on top of her trying to do this that's pretty wild.
So it's funny when you think about the story, is that the student security was better than the security at the school. So it's like it was the students who figured out, oh, this is not, she don't even belong here.
Well, and it should be that way because the students, there's
Student,
more
yeah,
students. Number one, number two, they're more familiar with their classmates than the security is. So
right.
that's
Okay.
why the security leans so heavily on tattletellers and
Yes.
hall monitor type people in order to
Yeah.
assist them in doing their job.
Yeah, because it's always that one person in school that's always watching stuff. How it's always that one person always watching. You know what? Big Ken, you check his backpack. He got a big old black backpack. It's always that one person in school
Yeah,
that is the biggest tattletale ever. But then people, when something go down, that's the first person they ask, "Hey, what happened? Why the police here?" They asking the tattletale.
yeah. Just like on that cartoon that we used to watch called Recess, they have a guy on there named Randall. And
Uh-huh.
people that are my age or younger will probably know about Recess and about Randall. Randall was the quintessential tattleteller. His tattletale skills are on 100,000. So, so you're right. There is always at least one tattleteller around somewhere. So,
Yeah.
but shout out to
Yeah.
the tattletellers because
Tattletale.
sometimes
Yeah.
y'all save lives.
Yeah, and y'all watch the
Some people
house.
have
That's
tattled
good. Yeah.
and went and told that people had guns and things like that in school, and it probably saved somebody's life. So shout out
That's
to y'all.
true. But just don't be like Casey Garcia and have warrants before you set out to do your project. Okay?
Yeah, it's a little different.
All right. So, off camera today, we didn't really talk about the fun facts. We have fun facts?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Then it's time for fun facts with Big Ken. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm always gonna have some fun facts. I always got something to bring to you. And with my recent trip to California, I wanted to bring you some fun facts about the city of LA.
Okay.
As I was telling Tori, the trip was inspiring and informative. I learned a lot of stuff. So I just wanted to share 5 things that I learned on my trip that was brought up or that I may have even Googled. But it's 5 things that I wanted to let you all know. The first thing on the list, wasn't until 1848 Los Angeles belonged to Mexico.
Hmm.
So it was annexed during the Mexican American War. So when people talk about when you go to Los Angeles, there's a large Mexican population. That may be the reason why. Okay,
Hmm. Okay.
just a tidbit. All right. Los Angeles is also where the internet was born. In 1969, the first ARPANET transmission was sent from the University of California, Los Angeles, to Stanford Research Institute at Menlo Park.
I didn't
So
know
the
that, and
internet
I'm a
started
techie.
in Cali.
I did know that, and I'm a techie, and I did not know that.
See?
I,
Ah,
I
the
didn't
internet
know that.
started in Cali. And the next one up. Have you ever wondered why the entertainment industry, made its home in Los Angeles, right? Well, the great inventor Thomas Edison owned a lot of the intellectual properties to claims to the films at that time.
I remember
So
that.
they
Mhm.
traveled far enough away from him where they could start producing their own films, and they took it to the opposite coast because he was in New Jersey. So they took it across the United States to the West Coast and started the film industry there, which is now known as Hollywood.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Had them
The,
people move away.
the
Okay.
the next one up is if Los Angeles were its own country, its economy would be bigger than those of Saudi Arabia and Switzerland.
No, really?
Yes.
I would not think Saudi. Maybe
I don't
Switzerland, but not
I don't
Saudi.
know. Maybe I don't know, but that's on California.com, the website for the state.
Wow.
So I mean, hey, take it up with them, but that's a fact that's on the
I
page.
am. Caliana lying.
Yeah,
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
Saudi Arabia, you think about Saudi Arabia, you think about the oil. But fun fact
Wow.
also is that Los Angeles was built on oil. Under Los Angeles, I think Los Angeles is the third was the third largest producer of oil at one point.
Hmm. I don't think I
So
knew that, but
yeah, see, another additional fact, not on my fun fact list, but I also read that as well. All right, now the piece de resistance, the last one I wanted to say for you all. Every time you go to California and everybody talks about California, you talk about what? What's one of the main things people talk about? The Walk of Fame and the
Mhm.
Hollywood sign,
Hollywood
right?
sign, yeah.
Everybody wants to see the Hollywood sign. Everybody wants to take pictures by the Hollywood sign. But one fun fact that I learned while actually there was it wasn't always Hollywood. There
I
was
remember
something else up
it was
there,
something else. I can't
right?
remember.
Boom. It was Hollywood land,
Yes, that's what it
right?
was.
It
Okay,
was
yeah.
Hollywood land.
Yeah.
And that concept came from there was actually an advertising firm who put that up there because they were building a new housing development in the area. And that's what the housing development was called, Hollywood land. So they
Hmm.
put those letters up there to garner people to, to move there and live in that new housing development. Well, the housing development was no longer, and the area was kind of cleaned out. So the area was still called Hollywood. So they took down the land, and there you go. Now you got the Hollywood
Hollywood.
sign that everybody wants to go see when they go there. So I don't see what the big deal is. I went, I saw it, and I was like, okay, I see the sign, but it's something that everybody wants to do when they go to Los Angeles. So hey, I enjoyed myself, and those are my fun facts.
Well, thank you. And you know what? Also about your Hollywood sign fun fact is that there are a lot of transients that live near that sign. Did you know
Hmm.
that? People, yeah,
No,
they go up there and people dump stuff up there. And of course, people have tried a lot of times to take the sign down, but why? Why take the sign down?
just something, something probably people want to do. But now when you go up that way, it's heavily gated actually, and
Mhm.
you can't get really close to the sign. So
They
they've
it used to be like so
yeah,
so the transients are not there anymore?
no, yeah,
No?
they've
They're
heavily gated
gone.
the area, and I mean, I'm pretty sure some things happen. People get in here and there, but
Mhm.
yeah, they have some actual security and some gating around the area that keeps people from there. So if you ride by there or even get close, you'll see the area is pretty
Oh,
clear.
okay. Oh,
Yeah,
did they say how long has the Hollywood sign been up there, do you know?
I have to pull that for you. It was
And
on the
see.
thing, but I didn't pull the year. But it was,
Okay.
like 1906 or something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Like in the early 1900s.
Oh, so
So
it's been up
it's
there a
it, it's
while.
been up there a while. I'm pretty sure they've refreshed it or refurbished it and things like
Yeah.
that over
Did
the
all that, yeah.
years.
Oh,
But
yeah, cleaned it from all
yeah,
because people used to
yeah.
write graffiti on there, so
Yeah,
okay.
they've graffitied it and done all kind of stuff to the sign. I think a couple years ago, somebody put some type of film over it or spray painted it with some type of pixelation stuff that looks like
Really?
it was pixelated,
Uh-huh.
like when you shoot it with a camera or a certain light. It was something weird that they did to it, but yeah, the Hollywood sign is iconic. So if you go to
Yeah.
LA and you really want to see it, go check it out. But if not, I wouldn't suggest you waste your time. Just saying.
Thank
There's a
thank
lot
you,
to
big
do
kid.
in Los Angeles instead of go see the
See that
signs.
big
Yeah.
see the Hollywood, yeah, yeah.
Just being honest with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Big Ken, for your fun facts as always. Now, so today I'm always looking. When we don't have a guest on the show, I'm always looking for uh, relationship topics. And the reason I sort of look for relationship topics is because you can scroll up and down Facebook or social media, and people are going to be talking about relationships, good and bad. And so today I have, I have mostly bad, and mostly they're bad mouthing men, but that's how it is, and
Pretty
hopefully,
regular.
hopefully that changes really soon, uh, so we can all come together.
Yeah, right.
So so the first question that I want to pose is, what is considered poor manners in a relationship? Now, I am not talking about poor manners in terms of when you pass gas or anything like that. That's just nasty. I'm not talking about,
No,
you
that's regular. No, that's regular.
no,
The
no,
relationship does not start.
no,
I tell this, fellas, the relationship
no,
does not start
no.
officially until she passes gas in front of you. That lets you know
I
that
disagree. No.
that she has let her guard down around you and she is just being her own regular self.
What happens if she passes gas and she don't tell you? Is it like you have to hear it, or what if you just smell it?
I mean, you know what? To be honest with you, in a relationship, it's gonna eventually happen, people. So let's be realistic. It's gonna happen. So you just have to embrace it, laugh at it, and keep going. It's gonna happen.
Well, okay, so I'm talking about stuff like, um, okay, so for me, a thing that's a poor manner in a relationship is extreme jealousy. That's just a deal breaker. It's like that means that everything I do or say around people other than you, I gotta watch myself. And it's like I'll give you an example. So you know that my husband played football, and when I would go to his games, there were groupies and there were people, and that did not bother me. I'm like, go ahead, make that money, bring it on to mama, and and so there were women that would be standing in line, that would be waiting for autographs, and not one time did it ever bother me, because I think the security, for one, was there, and two, he never made me feel like I had to worry about anything.
That's
And
it.
yeah, but at some point, people have to get to that point where, or you have to recognize that, make her feel that there's nothing to worry about. So extreme jealousy to me is a deal breaker, because it can be prevented and it can be avoided.
Well, you have to get to the root of that jealousy. I tell people a lot of times, having somebody that's jealous is a bad thing because
Yeah.
it's not going to be healthy for the relationship. But sometimes you just have to get to the bottom of why they're jealous.
Hmm.
Because it could be something you're doing that makes them feel that way. Number one. Number
Right.
two, it could be something that they've experienced in their past relationships, which we all have issues from our past relationships that can
Right.
sometimes carry over into a new relationship. And that conversation has to be had at least to try to figure out, like, can we fix this? Can we salvage this? Why are you so jealous? Let's get to the root cause of it.
Yeah, exactly. So what before I make another statement, what You give me a bad something that's a bad manner in a relationship.
I think for me, not communicating.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
know
that
that's kind of broad, but
yeah, but
not
that was actually number 1 on the list.
yeah, not communicating because like if I mean it could be something simple like if you're gonna pick up the kids today, like I need to know that. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm predicating my day or I'm scheduling my day around picking up the kids and then you do it, that could create a tense moment because now I had to reshuffle my day to pick up the kids and then I pull up and you're there.
Right.
So not
Yeah.
communicating things like that can cause tension and stress in a relationship. And communication as a whole, because
Yeah, yep, that's important.
if you have something going on and you don't clue your partner into it, or what's going on, that can start causing a lot of issues. And
Mhm.
a lot of times that's like you said, that's number one on the list, but because that's the sometimes the main reason why relationships don't work.
Yeah, bad communication.
Yep.
Yeah, you got definitely have to communicate on, some things, you know because they've happened so often in your relationship and you know what to do. But then there's times where you definitely have to communicate when things are when something is wrong or if you're feeling a certain way or if you have a question and you just let it fester and then when you get into like a disagreement that comes up. Well, you didn't let me know. And well, I shouldn't have to let you know. It's like, yeah, you're right. Communication is one of those big thing. Another
And
thing.
women are bad about that before you move on. Women are bad about that. Well, you should know. Well, you should know.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe he should, ladies. Maybe he
yeah,
should know. But it's best the rule of thumb is even if you think someone does know, even if you expect them to know, sometimes it's okay just to mention it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Just to make sure
Communicate, like
that,
you said,
yeah,
communicate it.
that it's communicated
Exactly.
properly,
Yeah,
instead of making them guess or assuming that they know and then things going
yeah,
left field because you just didn't want to do that.
yeah. And okay, so my next one, which is the biggest, what boss? Okay, jealousy. Yeah, people got to work it out. But the other thing is bad, bad table manners. It's nothing like when you're sitting at the table and you're eating, and the other person just like burps real loud and then laughs about it. That would tick me off. It's just it's rude, it's nasty, and it's just bad manners.
Yeah,
Just
that's literally bad manners. And for me, like you said, with the table manners, one thing that irritates me is I know a lot of people say this might be, low on their totem pole, but people who smack, like when you eat your food and you can't chew without making noise, or you're continuously eating without letting the food that's in your mouth digest first, and you keep like
I
stuff
just
like
have
that.
this I just have this visual, like, okay, wait a minute, wait, okay.
Especially
Yeah.
women that do that. Like, if a guy does that, like, that's I don't know because you know what I'm saying? Like, that's up to y'all to decide that. But a lady, you don't want a lady doing that type of
I
stuff.
know,
You don't
but
want a
what
lady
is it?
eating like
What is
that.
it? Okay, so smacking, I'm not trying to be naive about it, but smacking, you mean like when they eat their food and like
Like, who are you, Pops from Friday? Like, really?
Oh my god! You know what I don't like is when, on the same vein as smacking, is when somebody has to tell me something, and because they have food in their mouth, they keep on pausing. Yeah, or they're like, Ken, let me tell you what happened at work today. And so then you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Oh my god! Yeah,
I'm just like, finish
smacking.
your
Yeah.
food, then we can talk. Like, and go ahead and enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? Because like that type of stuff, it's not a big deal to a lot of people, and I don't let it, just make me upset or nothing. But it is kind of irritating.
That's true. I don't like smack like that, but there was one time where I really had to tell, because I have so much going on that if I don't tell you what I need to say right now, as you can tell, sometimes you're talking, I'll be like, wait, hold on. So, um, I had to tell my husband something, and I had just put food in my mouth, and so I was trying to tell him, and he was like, tell me when you finish." But it was like it was so important. I had to talk all over the lettuce and the
Mm-mm,
tomato. That's what
mm-mm,
I gotta say.
mm-mm. Now it can wait. Just wait a second, digest that, then let's have a conversation.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
so the other thing is I don't like it, men or women, when you are in a bad mood all the time. Just because you can bring the whole mood of the room down because you're in such a bad mood. It's like you're trying to talk to someone, you're trying to tell them, and they get smart or sarcastic with you, or they're very short. It's just I'm like, God, yeah, I don't understand why people. There are some people that I have worked with, and I, for the life of me, I cannot understand what in the world happened in your life that every time you come to work, you're in a bad mood. And first you think it's work, but then when you go out somewhere and you have like a potluck or you have something at a restaurant, they're still in
Mhm.
a bad mood. So,
Well, it's usually home life.
that's
When people come
crazy.
to work with issues, especially first thing in the morning, usually something happened at home and they brought that energy to work with them, which happens all the time. And that's why for me, like I always make it a habit, even if my kids do something in the morning, I try not to be too hard on them because I don't
Hmm.
want them to go to school with with
Yeah,
that
yeah, in a bad
pressure on
mood.
their
Yeah,
mind that, oh, I got in trouble this morning, so now my whole day is shot and they
yeah,
can't
it's
focus
ruined.
at
Yeah,
school. Same thing, with your significant other. I mean, if the conversation has to be had in the morning, then that's different. But getting into arguments and things like that, especially first thing in the morning, that makes the rest of your day suck. So
yeah. Okay, so what about keeping score when someone makes a mistake? So
that
it's like, yeah.
that's super petty. I mean, people are gonna do things, but I always point out, if you're gonna make a mistake is doing something wrong one time.
Mhm.
But if you do it 5 times, it's no longer a mistake. Like it's a concerted effort for you to do what you
Yeah,
want to do with your life
yeah,
and not be respectful to me or the people around us.
yeah.
So, it's a different level of, okay, the first time you do it, cool. The second time you do it, you pushing it. By the third
Mhm.
time, it's like, okay, you're doing this because you choose
Yeah.
to, and we got to figure out a solution for this.
But what if they count what if that mistake, I think we sort of talked about it earlier, what if that mistake comes up where you're like in a disagreement? So it's like, well, remember that time when we were in at mama house and you did this, or what about that time that I did that? And so they start bringing up all these things like they've just been keeping count in the back of their head. I mean, some people, bring stuff up for years ago. "Oh, I didn't say that when you wrecked my car in 1975." Oh my God, it's 2021.
Yep, but
So
that
it's
means
like,
they've had it in that backpack, and I talk about the virtual backpack all the time.
yeah,
When
I
people
have heard
have
you say that.
issues, they put the issue in their backpack, and
Yeah. Mhm.
that's why a lot of people don't understand. That's why therapy is so important. So you can go to get some therapy and talk through those things and get those things out of your bag and move
Yeah.
on with your life. And that way you will stop regurgitating all this old issues that you have with people every time you have a disagreement. So,
Mhm.
maybe that person needs some therapy.
Okay, so all right, so last one, unless you have another one, is not listening. Like, but when I think of not listening, I think about when you're having a conversation with someone and they only pick up the bad thing in that what you're trying to tell them. So, you're talking to someone and you're like, I don't mean this in a, you tell them, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you have to stop doing this and this and this and that. But I understand why you did it, but let's just move on. So this is what I want you to do. So you tell them what you want them to do, and they go all the way backwards and say, "But no, but when I did that, you're like, we're past that. We're we're
Mhm.
we're already past that." So they're not listening. They're still trying to defend themselves from something else that you understand, and you're moving forward. Now let's do it this way. So the not listening thing is like, I mean, you know how people say of everything I said, that's what you got out of it. They're not listening.
But there's a real reason for that, and I also have a theory behind that. Where I've heard this and I've read this in a couple of books too. Um, Well, people listen to respond and not to understand and reply.
Yes, I've heard
That's
that too.
different.
Yeah.
It's different. So it's not the fact that they're not listening. They're listening for certain things just
Hmm.
to reply to what you're saying instead of understanding what you're trying to, the point that you're trying to make to them,
Right.
and being able to reply to it in a manner in which they can move forward, you know what I'm saying, to
Hmm.
try to fix these issues. So
Yeah.
especially if the moment's heated, they're not trying to hear
Mhm.
the good stuff. They're just trying,
Yeah.
they focus in on the negative, and
Yeah.
that's what they want to address. So
That's yeah, just like you said, they're looking well, they're looking at you, but
mhm.
like you said, they are waiting, they're listening because they want to reply. They're
Yep.
like when as soon as he stopped talking, this is what I'm gonna say, because they're still dwelling on that other bad thing that they feel like you makes you look at them in a different way. So they have to like harp on that thing.
Especially
That's
if you're
the
mad. I can't lie. I've
yeah.
been there before when I was younger. I don't do this anymore. But you know, when I was younger, I used to be listening, and I'd be like, you know, I got something. I got a good comeback for that. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait until you stop. When you stop, I got some. I got. Ooh, I remember that one day
Yeah.
you had did this, and I'll be waiting. I'm like, okay. As soon as so you done. So you done. I'm finna hit you with these facts. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way we. That's the way we
Yeah,
are
yeah,
when we
and you
have a
know
conversation.
yeah.
You
You
ready
don't
to hit
hear
them with the
nothing
facts?
else.
Yeah, we didn't hear nothing they said. We just glaze over everything they said because we want to hit them with the facts. And
Mhm.
sometimes if they start off with the bad stuff, you know what I'm saying, before when they get to the good stuff in the conversation, you've wiped that all away. And that's why
Yeah.
they say a lot of times if you start a conversation and you know there's going to be something about it that may be negative, or something that may be something that they will be, emotional about, start with the good stuff first.
Yeah. It
So,
starts to yeah, exactly, and then
and
it's
Dale,
kinda
Dale's
yeah.
tuned in, and Dale said emotional maturity is so necessary to resolve issues, and that's facts.
But, it's still some people that no matter you could say it good first, bad last, last first, good fir bad last, and whatever. There are just some people that are not going to listen, and even after you say, "Okay, Ken, all right, that's cool, I understand, I'm not mad," but they are. They are,
Well,
they never get past it.
and you know what helps when you have people like that? I figured out that when you have people like that, you have to feed them bite-sized facts as they go.
Mhm.
You can't just ramble off this whole chain of things. Like, you have to give them one, let them digest that. Let's talk about that one point and then go on to the next point. Because if you have all these positives and then you have like one negative, their reaction to it will be, I think, a whole lot better if you've,
Yeah.
spent some time talking about the positive, and then say, okay, but I do have one thing that I want you to work on, or that I need for you to work on in order for us to work better as a relationship. And here it is. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, their mood will be a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, but, of course, it's like always that one person. No. Mm-mm. And then they'll go and they'll tell someone, "You know what Ken said? He said this and this and that." And then you also have that one person try to rationalize and let them know, "Hey, I don't think he mean it." Yes, he did. Because why he say it then? You're not listening. They just don't listen. That's
Yeah.
why I said that's why this is a poor manner because ugh, bad manners.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm
That's
trying to
fact.
say. Yeah. All right. This is a good one. This is a good one. Okay, so what would you do if your partner called you by your ex's name? Some people say it would depend on the situation. So you hold that thought. I'm gonna tell you what a couple of people said on social media. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna read you three of them. First one. Uh that would be the end of us. That is past disrespect, and I don't even care if it was a mistake. I'm out. Second one. That's a big diss. It would turn me off and even make me wonder if she's still involved with her ex. Number 3, nice one. Anyone can make mistakes. I would be upset, but I would not break up because of that. People are too petty, and that's the reason we are not having long-lasting relationships today. We're too quick to jump to conclusions like people are perfect. Hit me with a bit, Ken.
Well, let's see here. The first thing I think about is, how long have y'all been together? Number one,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? How long was he or she with the other person. You know what I'm saying? Mistakes can happen. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Early in your relationship, if she gets mad or upset or something like that, and then, that that transpires, that's one thing. But if you're in the bed and you're doing some things and then they say the wrong name, that's a problem. um, so, but I mean, at the end of the day, not not having enough respect and enough, paying enough attention to, and you call somebody their ex's name, uh, that's hard. That's a hard one to recover from. And I guarantee you, if you all continue on in their relationship and that happened, that's going to resurface at some point. I
Yeah.
guarantee you.
Yep. Again, counting the mistakes.
Yeah, I
Like
mean
like
that's gonna
I said
resurface
before.
because that's a big one. Like,
Yeah.
like how, I
That's
mean, I don't even know how you explain why you did that. Like,
yeah.
because for you to call them that person's name, the first thing they're gonna point out is that person was on your mind.
Yeah. Of
So,
course.
and if that person was on your mind, then why would the ex be on your mind?
Yeah. But sometimes the brain works in mysterious ways. Because, for example, have you ever been either looking at an actual object or trying to figure out how to spell a simple word and your brain is just not registering? Or you walk into a room looking for, I don't know, the toothpaste, but and your brain doesn't see it, and then you go back and it's there. Like, hey, but that's how the brain works. And sometimes you can say things that they come out. You're not thinking about it, but comes out. I mean, there was a time that I could not remember how to spell the word of. I couldn't remember how to spell it, and my brain wouldn't work. And I'm an English genius, and I could not remember how to spell of. I just yeah. So
That's that lack of sleep.
yeah. So I'm just saying that sometimes you say things in it, but one thing I do agree with you on is that in this situation, it depends on how long that person's been out of the other person's life.
Yeah,
Now,
fact.
so if it's been, I don't know, like then you have to think again, well, how long is too long, or how long is short? So is it like if it is a month and I call you Kevin and your name is Ken, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what?
mean, we have one comment that points out a good thing. Maybe you're displaying some of the same negative behavior or characteristics of the ex. So,
I mean, yeah, but what explain that. What is that? What do you mean?
if they used to do a certain thing and they used to irritate you,
Oh,
then
I
a lot of
see. Yeah.
times, it'll send you back to that moment or those moments, and you would do that, and you would say, well, you would mention that name, and I mean, it's going to make a tense situation even tenser. That's for
Uh-huh.
sure. But I mean, it can happen. But like I'm telling you, I think if you being called the ex's name and it hasn't they haven't, like, you haven't been with this person that long, it's a different scenario than if it's 5 years later and they call you this person's name, because that's a long period of time, and they
Yeah.
should not have that person's name in their mouth like that.
What happens if your partner calls your kids your ex's name?
That'd be disrespectful. That'd be
That'd be
disrespectful.
very disrespectful.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
very,
that
very disrespectful, and I might need to go ahead and have them tested, because if you're calling them your ex's name, maybe we need to have them
really?
DNA tested to make sure that they belong to me, because something's
Even if
wrong
you
here.
even if you know that that's okay, that's your kid, but
How you
she
how
just
you
had
know?
a
How you
slip.
know? How you know?
They look just like you.
How you know? Because I'm gonna tell
But
you
there
just
are
like
some
my
kids that look
nope.
like yeah,
I'm
like
I'm gonna
Shaq
tell you
looks
just
like
like
his
my daddy
stepdad.
told me. Listen, women have a type, so don't fall for that. The baby look like you. She's got a certain type of dude she likes, so it might look like all of y'all. So
Shaquille
if you got
O'Neal
any
looked just
doubt,
like his stepdad.
if you
So
got any doubt, go get the baby DNA tested, solve all the doubt.
okay, so it doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't really care about the time because in any moment, if you call me your ex's name, I'm not gonna forget. Remember, I always go back to it, Ken. Remember that grudge thing? It would be like that. So why and it's like, and then again, what would your response be when someone says that? So, Ken, if your wife called you David, what's her response? Like, oh, oops, I didn't mean to call you David. I have not talked to him in 10 years.
That's a
And
lie. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Let's be honest here. If she didn't called you that dude's name, she has been talking to him or texting him, or they've been in contact or something for that dude to be fresh on her mind.
no,
I
no, what if
understand the comment
no,
earlier about the negative characteristics, but you're talking about 10 years later.
okay. No,
Nah, they've been in contact. They've been in contact. That's
what
that's
if
a
her
fact.
what if her supervisor's name is David? She's like, I don't know why I was talking to David today at work.
Well,
That's
I
her
mean,
comeback. That's coincidence. She's like, whew.
she better be thinking on her toes because if she don't have a good explanation for it, it's gonna be problems.
So is that like, if okay, so if it happens after like 5 years and someone calls you, and I'm talking, and I'm speaking with you. So
Mm.
if she calls you David, and you guys have been together for 5 years, and she was like, I have not talked to him in 5 years. I don't know why his name came out my mouth. How do you get past that? If she is telling you the truth, how do you get past that?
Some therapy. Y'all gonna have to have to go get some therapy because some stuff,
Are you
something's broken
serious?
somewhere. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, she's been talking to that dude or had some interaction with him or something for his name to be fresh on her lips like that.
So nothing about, no matter what that person says or no matter what she says, you're not going to believe her. Even if the conversation is over, you guys go to the movie and have a dinner. Are you going to be thinking about that the entire time?
Yep, not in that moment. It's gonna be a while. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a shocker. Like for because I think for it just depends on too, like what happened. Like, did she break up with him and then she meet you, or were you talking to her while they were breaking up, or whatever the scenario might be? There's a lot of moving parts that could be considered in this, but like I said, for me, the time is the biggest factor because if you're talking about y'all been together 5 months, that's different than if y'all together 5 years and she's still calling you the ex's name. That's ridiculous.
But you know what would make that would make that situation even more tragic is if she called you someone's name and that person had the hardest, most unique name ever. So if your name is David and her ex name is Zimbahu and she called you that, that means, look, there's no way you should be calling me that name
That's a
because
fact.
it's so unique and it's so different. You have to be talking to that person. And
That
then you gotta have
means yes,
but then you
y'all
have the
been
flip
interacting.
side. Yeah, then you have the flip side. She's like, I don't know. Again, I don't know why I called you that. I haven't talked to that person in years. But it's
And you're
like,
gonna say
okay, that person's name is so unique.
lies,
Yeah.
lies.
So how would that affect the relationship? Well, no, let me put it this way to be more specific. How would that affect the marriage?
Oh, that's a death knell. I'm telling you, that's a death knell. You're gonna need some type of therapy or some type of help because either one or two things. Either you're gonna get the therapy or either you're gonna have to live with this hanging over your head because the other person is gonna hang this over your head because they're hurt by it. I
Because it's the
guarantee
not
you.
knowing.
Fact.
It's the not
Yeah.
not knowing if that person actually talked to that person or not. And I agree. I don't think it's like a therapy thing, but I do think that it would take me a lot of time, because I
It just
know
depends on the
how.
individual.
Yeah,
Because some people take things a little bit differently and the
yeah.
hurt might be a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? So we had one comment. Merlin Jones said call her a different name. That could be
That's a good one.
that could be detrimental though, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
if you're gonna
'cause
do
then
it
yeah,
and you want it
because
to
then
have the
y'all are,
most effect, do it while you're in bed. Have the
but
most
y'all,
effect. Call
yeah.
her Lisa in bed or
Oh,
some
see,
just
you know
random
what?
name.
Both of
Yeah,
y'all are evil. You
I'm
and
just
who was
saying.
that? Who was that just made that comment?
That's Merlin Jones.
Oh, see, Marilyn, that's evil. Both of y'all, yeah, that's evil. Because it'd be like if she said, "Oh, oh, I'm sorry, David," you'd be like, "Oh, it's okay, Shaquan." Then both of y'all gonna be mad. You doing evil for evil.
Well, I mean, in a lot of relationships, that's what generally happens. That's truly what happens. A lot of times
Yes,
people do evil for evil, whether they do it in front of your face or behind your back. They're gonna
but yeah,
retaliate.
that
So,
that
I
that was
mean,
a good one. I like that. I like that. I let go back. You got to give her a
yeah,
free T-shirt. That was a good. That was funny.
that's the ultimate
Oh,
petty. That would be the ultimate
yeah,
petty
that is
for
that's
for like
that's
me, since I
petty.
make my own t-shirts and stuff. Yeah, to go get his name put on a t-shirt and just wear that t-shirt around
Oh,
the
man. Oh,
house.
that's not even petty, that's evil. See, that's like so evil, but, you know,
Hey, let's
I
both have a good laugh about it.
yeah, exactly. Now we're past that. Now both of y'all, even though one said this and one said the other, and now both of you guys are mad. Now both of you guys need therapy. And so,
We need therapy in the first place, I'm telling you.
let me tell you this. The thing about therapy is that if you go to therapy, it would be almost you have to ask why. Am I going to therapy because I hurt your feelings and you're trying to get past the fact that I called you somebody else's name? Or we going to therapy because, yeah, I called you somebody else's name and you're wondering if I'm still talking to that person. There's never going to be a point in time, even if you go to therapy, I believe that you're not going to never believe that person, that it
Well,
was it was an accident.
Well, well, that's why, with therapy, though they're experts and they know how to dig and they know how to find answers. And sometimes it's not about what it's about fixing that other person might have some issues they need to fix. So
Hmm.
they can come forward to you and actually be open and honest and say, hey, this is the real reason why I called you the name, or be open and honest, because generally how therapy is supposed to work, and a lot of people don't know how therapy works because it's never been. So if
Hmm.
you have couples therapy, you don't go as a couple. You go as individuals first,
Right.
then you go as a couple, right?
Right.
So
Hmm.
if you go as individuals, fix your individual issues with whatever the situations are, and then you go as a couple, and then you try to fix the situations from there. It works out a lot better, because sometimes it's not about you trying to. It's not a fact that you don't love the person. Sometimes it's a communication issue of not being able to relay it properly,
Hmm.
not being able to verbalize. And sometimes a therapist can help, be the intermediary between the two and help you explain it to the person.
Hmm. Well, this is a true story. I had a friend who was dating a guy, and I forget how many. It's been a while. I can forget how many years they were dating. And so, anyway, they broke up, and she started dating someone else. And the thing she told me, she was like, "Oh, we're gonna go to dinner." And I don't want to call him my ex's name. So the whole time during dinner, she was quiet and she would bite her bottom lip because she didn't want to call the person. And I was like, that's too much work. Just you
But
have to
but
tell the
why would
person
she call him the ex's name? Like, I'm not
because she had just
understanding
got
that.
she had just got out of the relationship and they were together for a while, but she started dating again. And I think that she didn't want to hurt this person's feelings, and I although she will always tell me no, I still kind of feel that she had feelings still for her ex. And
You need to
so
do some Sudoku, some mental
yeah,
exercises,
so
some
she was,
focus,
yeah,
some focus
she was
exercises or
she was
something. Because
quiet during dinner and she bit her bottom lip. That's what she did. And she said, and I said, "Did it help?" And she was like, "I mean, yeah." And I was like, it was just a whole bunch of questions that I had. It's too much for the show. But that's what she did. That's what helped her out because she didn't want to call. Yeah. So
yeah, I guess so. I mean, but that could be considered, a signal from the other guy. If he sees her constantly biting her lip, it's like, why is she biting her lip?
I don't think she did it like that. I think that because she was being quiet, so I think she kind of bit the corner of her bottom lip. So it's like this. And so she
Yeah, I'd
paused.
be like,
So
why is
so
she?
she paused
Is she
before she
chewing tobacco
talked.
in here or something?
Oh my god, you're taking it too far. That was that was her way of recognizing that, you know what? I may call this dude the wrong name, so what can I do? And
Well,
that's what she came up with.
here is the issue with that. Now, I could be totally wrong, and hey, in the words of Charles Barkley, I might be wrong, but I doubt it. Maybe she just needs to give herself some breathing room, some time, because if you can't go and have a conversation or a date without calling somebody else your ex's name, then you haven't got him out of your system enough, and maybe you need some time to yourself before you move on.
Yes, because let me tell you something else about this one. She is the same one that showed up to the ex's wedding, and she called me from the wedding, and I had to talk her out of not getting out of that car. So maybe she does have some other things she needs to work on.
Yes, I mean, clearly, if I go to my ex's wedding, look, if any of my exes out there, if you got married or you get married, I need that invitation. I'm not coming to interrupt anything. I won't say anything. I'm just coming to eat your food and enjoy and have a good time and see you enjoy it for the rest of your life, whoever you're gonna marry to, because some of my exes, I know some of the issues that you had and that you still have, and I'm just wanting to see who gonna marry.
Oh my goodness. I love this topic. This was this was funny.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, this is what the last episode, the last show. Like we have a big old show. We do. We have a
Show
big
of
show.
the season.
Yeah, of the season. Season 3. We're going to be having season 4 in 30 days. Bring you guys more guests and just some more stuff. Also, Big Ken and I will be in Dallas. Well, Ken, he's already in Dallas. I'm going down to Dallas tomorrow, and we are going to have a quick chat with platinum recording artist Life Jennings. So we are extremely excited about that, and looking forward to chatting with Life and seeing all the things that he's up to. He's keeping himself busy, especially since COVID restrictions have lifted a little bit, so he has been traveling a lot. But he's going to be talking to us tomorrow evening. So we're going to try to bring that to you guys live. If not, we definitely will be putting up the interview for you guys to check out. Anyway, remember you can catch KUTC live right here on Facebook every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Or if you miss it, you can visit blacklineentertainment.com. So, our quote this week: when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Then make that day count. Until next time,
Make sure y'all keep up the conversation. Peace.
peace.